Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Unnamed Sports Show. I'm your host, Ryan. I'm joined by Jason and Jerry. How you fellas doing?
Doing
Doing
good,
pretty
doing
good. Doing
good.
pretty
Merry
good.
Christmas, everybody.
Yes.
Merry
Belated
Christmas.
Christmas.
Did you guys have a Merry Christmas?
Good.
Yes.
How was yours?
Good. It was good. Got to see family. Got to hang out with some people. My girlfriend got me this cool sign that I haven't hung up yet. Oh, it's upside
It's
down.
upside down.
There you go.
Oh,
For the Browns, that'll be going here momentarily, but
Yeah,
I needed to make sure I showed it. Otherwise, I was going to get in trouble.
that looks
Um,
awesome though.
It
it
is
does.
pretty
That's
sweet.
pretty cool.
It is pretty sweet. But yeah, I had a fantastic Christmas. I hope you guys had the same. Before we get into the show today, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe and follow us at Unnamed Sports S on all our social media. We're on X, TikTok, Instagram, all of the above. And then you can find us anywhere you listen to podcasts. And leave us a review, like us there. Really appreciate you guys joining us live today. And let's jump right in. What an amazing week. Week 16
Mm-hmm.
in the
Mm-hmm.
books. Playoffs right around the corner. This is the best time in the NFL right now. Everything's sort of lining itself up. There's crazy scenarios where if this team wins and this team loses and this team clinches, but this team lost but tied, and it's like doing that for the next couple weeks until it's finally set in stone.
I feel like we've already been doing that though, like the last couple of weeks. At least some teams have. But
Yes.
I'm definitely doing it now.
Jason thought he was safe till his
I'm
team lost
sweating
four
over
in a
here.
row.
I'm sweating over here a little bit.
Yeah, it's
no.
coming down the stretch here will be interesting. And honestly, it's nice to now again we haven't guaranteed a playoff spot. The Browns technically could not make the playoffs. It's like 99.7% chance we make it. But normally we're on the side of like it's a 5% chance and we need the Steelers and the Ravens to both lose and then the Falcons to tie the Colts and we find our way in. It's nice to be on the other side. I know Jason, everything's still in front of you guys. Jerry, you guys need kind of a couple things to happen.
We'll get to it.
You're tanking now.
Yeah. Yeah. Season's over.
Season's done for the Broncos.
Season's over. Russ is over. It's all over.
The experiment has
Go
come to a
fan.
conclusion there in Colorado. But recapping games, it was a weird sort of weekend because we kind of had games like every single day. It was like, what day of the week is it? There's games on Thursday and Saturday and Sunday and Monday, and it was kind of a mirage. But this first game on Thursday, the Rams beat the Saints 30-22, handled them. Really, I mean, it wasn't as close as that score indicates. The Rams pretty much dominated that entire game. Am I right, Jerry?
Oh, absolutely. Uh, Kyron Williams had a huge game, and I believe Puka Nakua had like 156 yards, something like that. I know he got Offensive Player of the Week this week for the NFC. They absolutely blew the doors off the Saints. Definitely not as
Kamara
close
didn't look
as it
good.
should have been. What's that?
Jason,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. 0-7, folks.
0-7. That we'll get to that a little bit later. It's unfortunate, but we're hitting this week. But Jason, real quick, Puka Nakua, absolutely fantastic. Putting his name up there with some of the most elite wide receivers to have ever played the game
As a rookie.
as a rookie. My question to you is about 3 weeks ago, we crowned CJ Stroud Offensive Rookie of the Year, guaranteed, no doubt. Does Puka Nakua have a chance to take that crown?
Absolutely. It definitely helps that CJ Stroud hasn't played for the last 2 weeks, and that's two possible 200 to 300-yard games that show on his stats. So,
Mhm.
um, absolutely, I believe that Puka is actually probably the favorite now. I would assume. I haven't checked to see, but I would assume he is the favorite now after the last few games that he's had.
Would you give him the award if you were
If it ended today,
master of the universe? Yeah,
yes, yes.
you would.
If the season ended today, I would give it to him. Now we still have 2 weeks left, and CJ Stroud could show that, yeah, I'm still him. So,
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. He's been unguardable, honestly, and quite the
Mhm.
surprise for the Rams when, especially when Cooper Cup was down, and now honestly is playing better than Cooper Cup, even though he's
Absolutely.
back. So it's
Mhm.
pretty cool to watch. Uh, the Rams made a surprising jump on our power rankings this week, which you will see here shortly. We moved to Saturday. The Steelers eviscerated the Bengals. It wasn't really close. Unfortunate. Jake Browning kind of showed why he is considered a backup. I mean, they're not the season's not over. They could still make the playoffs, but it's going to be a lot more difficult now, especially since they don't have a division win yet. I don't see that. Unfortunately, I just don't see the Bengals making it in when they have the Chiefs and the Browns to play, and you would have to win both of those to make it into the playoffs. Bills, Chargers, Bills scrape away 24-22. Jason, what was going on? Is Josh Allen reverting back, or was it just one of those games that, hey, they still won, they're still on the upward trajectory? What do you think?
I don't know. I think we've seen it with the past few examples where your interim coach comes in and the team plays a lot better for that coach, and I think that's kind of what we got. I don't expect it to continue to happen like it has with the Raiders, but I think you get one of those games. You get an interim coach and players are playing their best games out there.
Yeah, it's with that interim coach, like there's like it's almost undefeated
Yeah,
and coming in against the spread, not
yeah,
actually I mean almost
yeah.
undefeated.
Mhm.
But against the spread, I think it is undefeated this year and like the last few years against the spread. There's just like a certain energy that these interim coaches come in, and it's like these guys that have been coaching for like 20 years, but only position coaches. They finally get like a coordinator job or like a linebacking. That's what the Raiders guy,
Mhm.
he's a linebackers coach who's now the head coach, and he has them like playing a much better brand of football than any other time this season. So it's interesting that whole energy spike you get from teams that fire their head coach. Maybe every week you should just fire your head coach. You go undefeated. I don't know.
I
Um,
saw somebody had a take. They should just bring in Josh McDaniels for 1 week and then fire him, and then bring in somebody else because they always win the week after McDaniels has been fired.
yeah,
So
that makes hey. I think if you're a struggling franchise, you should really look into that. Um, Starting Sunday, the Browns beat the Texans 36-22 in a big statement win for the Browns. Now, Texans didn't have CJ Stroud. They were playing Case Keenum, but through three and a half quarters, Case Keenum only had 62 passing yards and 2 interceptions. That defense just absolutely smothered them. The final score looks a little bit closer than the game really was. The Browns were up 36-7, with the 7 points being off of a kickoff return for a touchdown, and the other two touchdowns came in garbage time after the Browns sat their starters and they recovered an onside kick. I mean, it was just like that game was an absolute bludgeoning, Browns to Texans. And it's funny watching the game. My inner Browns was coming out when they got the touchdown and onside kick. I'm like, we're gonna find a way to
Yeah.
blow this. Like, I get it. We're still up 2 scores with 4 minutes left, but I saw us give up
Uh,
14 points
hey,
in a minute and 40 seconds last year.
and for
So
those who haven't seen it, when his inner Brown comes out, take a
yeah,
couple steps back.
yep.
Take
it's
take a
scary.
couple back.
Take several steps back. You may want to go to a different building. It's it's not my finest hour, but Browns come away with the win. They are a 10-win team right now, and this is the first time in 73 years. That's not 723. 73 years. People have been born and died and since
A
the
lot of
last
people.
time. A lot of people have been born and died since the last time the Browns and the Lions have had 10-win seasons. I don't know if it's the apocalypse. I don't know what's happening, but we
Have
have 10 wins.
have the
Go ahead.
Browns and the Lions ever won the division in the same year?
No, please. The
No.
Browns
Yeah,
haven't won.
I was putting the question out there. I had no idea. I assume no, but
The Browns have never won the AFC North because that was realignment in like
mhm.
2002. But when they were in the AFC Central, they haven't won that division since 1986. So
Mhm.
Yeah,
And
it's
then
it's been a hot minute, and we're probably not going to win the division this year. But guess what? We're 10-5. We're going to probably make the playoffs with 4 different quarterbacks, with everyone 30% of our roster or 30% of our salary cap on IR. I mean, it's been an unbelievable season. Coach Stefanski is right now the uh, odds-on favorite for Coach of the Year, and for good reason.
Yeah.
So moving forward, Falcons beat the Colts 29-10. I guess no one wants to win the AFC South. Colts looked pretty abysmal in that game. Seahawks inch one out against the Titans. Lions beat the Vikings. Jerry, Lions clinch for the first time in 30 years. They win the NFC North. I mean, that's got to be. You never want to be the team that like celebrates that you won the division, like the season's over. But when you're the Lions, that's acceptable, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you take it at the cost of the Pistons never winning a game in their entire franchise ever again, but hey, they'll take a Lions NFC North title any day of the week. Jared Goff has got those boys going, baby. He's got those boys going. Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's got to be up there top 5 most explosive player in the league right now. I mean, dude is insane. And they did this all without even getting the ball to Sam Laporta this weekend. He had, I think, 1 catch, maybe 2 catches for like 15 yards. They got so many weapons on that team. The only downside of the team is the defense, but they've kind of turned it around the past couple of weeks too. So, if they get hot, they're still in the running for the 1 seed. You never know. You never know.
They play the Cowboys this weekend, so yeah, that's a big game for them. The other thing too, it's like they almost gave that game away at the end. If Nick Mullins doesn't throw his 4th pick of the game, trying to throw it 50 yards with a minute left, like it was a Hail Mary pass, if he doesn't do that, who knows how that game ends. But still, it's very nice as a Browns fan, as a team that's been stuck in misery for a long time and have recently had a little bit of success and having success this season. It's nice to see the fellow really, really bad franchise start to have some success and get that monkey off their back. So good for the Lions. Jets beat the Commanders 30-20 or 30-28. Commanders come all the way back in that game. Jason, Jacoby Brissett starter for the rest of the season?
Should be. I mean, he's the only thing that sparked life into that team. So it's like roll with it.
I believe when they benched Sam Howe, he had a passer rating of like 5. I
Yeah.
think
That's
that's
pretty
correct. For those that don't know, pass rating goes up to 154.8, I believe, and or 150. Is that right? 158.4, maybe
158.3, I think.
0.3. Sorry,
Yeah.
okay, I was somewhere in there. He had 5. That's like the SpongeBob episode where he's like, "What did you get? 6. What did I need? 6. Woo!"
I was thinking the
100.
same thing. Our brains are in sync, brother.
It was a pretty tough day for Sam Howell. Jacoby Brissett comes in though, gives him the spark, like you said, Jason. And I mean,
For Sam Howell's confidence, do not keep starting him and then benching him and then starting him and then benching him. He's going to look a lot like Carson Wentz if you keep doing that. So
yeah, and that's never good for a player, especially
No.
when, and they're about to go through a coaching change. Like there's
Mhm.
0% chance that Ron Rivera holds on to that job. But moving on, Packers squeak one out against the Panthers. Did the Panthers have a good game, or are the Packers defense really just that bad, Jerry?
I think the Packers defense is that bad. They kind of did the same thing the Lions did. They were up by 2 scores on them and kind of let them back into the game, and then finally got the ball and were able to go down the field and get a game-winning field goal. But it's been the Packers' Achilles heel all year. Jordan Love has had a pretty decent year, but their defense, they can't stop anybody. Their secondary is so bad. And then you have a guy like Jair Alexander going out on the coin toss, who's not a designated captain, almost costing them the ball. They almost gave the Panthers the ball to start the first half and the second
And
half.
the second half, yeah.
I don't
That's
know.
bad.
That's definitely like a coaching kind of discipline thing going on there, and I think he's been suspended by the team for the rest of the year for it, which is another huge piece of their defense because he's been pretty good. He's honestly the only player I can name on that defense right now. But yeah, their defense has just been so bad. We saw it last week against the Buccaneers with Baker tossing 4 TDs on them. if they make it to the playoffs, there's no way they're going to be able to stop somebody like they'd have to play the Eagles or probably the Lions, which no way.
Oh, the Lions are scoring 10 touchdowns on them.
Yeah.
I mean, they can't stop anybody. I mean, literally, no. But Baker Mayfield, like Baker's had a good year. Don't get me wrong, but he threw for 380 yards and 4 touchdowns. Like what? Absolutely absurd.
Crazy.
Jason, speaking of Baker Mayfield,
Broad watch.
what's going on, dude?
Broad watch.
4 straight losses. What is
Wait,
happening?
who's
to your
on fraud
Jacksonville
watch?
Jaguars?
We are.
Okay.
We are on fraud watch. Again, another week where I don't think Trevor Lawrence should be playing. Got out of concussion protocol like the day before the game. Like, what are we doing? He's getting more injured, getting more hurt. Just let him sit a week and have him healthy when we need to win. Like, it's coming down to the last 2 games. I mean, easy teams. Luckily, the schedule is the way it is. But that being said, it's going to be tough after we win those 2 games, and we meet up with whoever. It could be the Browns, the Bills, the Bengals, the Texans, like any one of those teams can come out and beat us. So hopefully we get together, get fully healthy, and put together something.
It was tough. I mean, again, don't get me wrong. The Buccaneers are red hot right now. They're a good ball club. It's not like you lost to, the Giants or something, but
Right.
still,
Yeah,
That's-
I mean, it looks like we were not beating the Giants the way we were playing. So
yeah.
You guys might not beat the Panthers this week.
Hey, chill, bro.
Yeah.
Chill, bro.
Just saying, man. You guys aren't on
Oh.
fraud watch. You guys are frauds confirmed.
Coming from the Broncos fan.
Hey,
So-
I know
right?
what we are, okay? We all know what we are.
The Bears beat the Cardinals in a game that meant nothing. The Dolphins beat the Cowboys 22-20. It was a pretty solid game. The Fraud Bowl turns out that the Cowboys, I guess, are officially the frauds, although it seemed like both teams belonged on the field together. It was a very
Mhm.
good game. If the Cowboys get one more stop, or if Tony Pollard runs in that touchdown, I mean, that game goes a little bit differently. And then the Dolphins, I mean, to Tua's credit, Mike McDaniel's credit, to that entire offense's credit, they went down the field and got some key first downs so that they could just run out the clock on the final kick from like 30 yards. So, kudos to the Dolphins, good game. And if they win this weekend, they're in the driver's seat to be the number 1 seed in the AFC. If the Ravens win, they will be the number 1 seed in the AFC. So it'll be a great game again this week. The Patriots, Jerry. We went from Jason's team, what's going on? They still have playoff hopes, to the 4-win Patriots come in and beat the Broncos. What happened that game? We talked about it a little bit before we got on the show here, but tell the people at home, like, what is happening to the Denver Broncos?
Yeah, first off, I just want to say that I'm happy that 1/3 of this podcast is having a great year and has the playoffs essentially confirmed. I'll say confirmed.
Look,
Dog,
it's still a pretty
you-
solid year, and we're
don't-
making the playoffs. Do we get beat the first week? Probably, but we're making the playoffs. Okay.
Trevor
Give me at least a half.
Trevor
Just say
Lawrence
1.5.
is, like,
All right. Just say 1.5.
practically
Just say
dead.
1.5. Just say 1.5. Just say 1.5. All right. At least give me a half.
All right, I'll give you a half. No,
Okay.
the Patriots. Dude, I was watching this game, and it was painful. To start, you get first play of the game, force a fumble on Bailey Zappi, get the ball down on the 6-yard line. I'm like, man, it's go time. This is the playoff push. We're gonna win. Like this is the game, right? This is the game. Ball on the 6-yard line, drive starts, can't punch it in. Can't even get a field goal because we go for it on 4th down. Don't get it. I'm like, okay, whatever. You go for it in that scenario 10 times out of 10 because they have the ball inside their own 5 to start the drive. We force 3 and out, or at least force them to punt. I don't know if it was a 3 and out. And then we have 2 more possessions in a row. We finally are able to punch one in, go up 7-0. And then all hell breaks loose. We can't get the ball moving at all. Our run game is completely dead. We're trying to run inside zone on a great interior defense that the Patriots have. It's not working. Russ is... I've seen the play 1,000 times where he's got a pocket 5 yards by 5 yards, and he's running into our tackles, bouncing off of them, and then gets sacked. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? And then the third quarter happens, and they score, I think, 14 points in like 6 seconds, something like that. Great. We tie it up 23-23, force another 3 and out. So we get the ball back, minute 45 to go. We call screen. This is on our own 39-yard line. We have 3 timeouts. We call screen, outside sweep to the short side, and then I think it's a pass that is going nowhere because Russ can't get out of his own head. I'm trying not to swear right now. I'm trying to keep it clean. And so we punt the ball back. I'm like, okay, this is going to go to OT. They run the ball twice. We give them 2 free timeouts. 2 free timeouts. So they're like, okay, let's take a shot. Devontae Parker up against Patrick Surtain, who's been playing like a top 5 corner this year, absolutely blows it, and they get the shot. And then, of course, they go down, kick the field goal to win the game. I'm like, okay, season's over. I was so PO'd, I went to bed. I woke up the next morning. I'm like, okay, we're 7-8. We're one game out of a playoff spot. You know, there's a chance. There's a chance. I was cooking up the scenarios in my head. We come to Wednesday morning, this morning, roughly around noon. Adam Schefter tweets, Sean Payton has decided to bench Russell Wilson for Jarrett Stidham for the rest of the year. Jarrett Stidham. Jarrett Stidham. What are we doing? We are 1 game out of a playoff spot, and we have a chance to win the damn division still. And we're benching Russell Wilson for Jarrett Stidham. I know there's financial reasons for it, and this just tells you how much Sean Payton hates Russell Wilson. He's hated him all year long ever since he got in the door. Why are you benching your starting quarterback who's been playing? He hasn't been playing great. He's been playing good. He's been playing good enough. He hasn't been playing great in the sense that we haven't been able to push the ball downfield.
You guys were 1-5 at one point.
Yes.
You're 7-8 right now.
We're 7-8. He says we need a spark on the offense. Dude, how about don't call screen outside zone terrible pass play from your own 39-yard line with 1:40 to go with 3 timeouts? I don't want to say it's 100% Sean Payton's fault, but dude, if you're going to blame Russell Wilson and have him be the scapegoat, you got to take a look in the mirror, dog. You got to take a look in the mirror because something is not right there. It's time to, I want to say cut everybody, fire everybody, but we did that last year. And we're in the same freaking boat. And now we're starting Jarrett Stidham. Jarrett Stidham.
Tough luck. It's a tough look. It's unfortunate for you guys.
Sorry, that took
It's
up a lot of
unfortunate
time,
for the
but
Bears. No, it's okay. No, we appreciate the diatribes. Those are, this is what the experience of being a football fan for the NFL team that's not, a perennial amazing squad feels like. You're just like,
Hey,
always-
Yeah, clip that whole thing.
Exactly. Well, unfortunate for the Broncos, especially with them benching their starting quarterback. That pretty much ends their playoff hopes. That moves us on to Christmas Day. Let's just real quickly through this. Let's all revel in the fact that the Chiefs lost without the opposing team throwing a completion outside of the first quarter. Pretty
0
amazing.
passing yards,
0
3 quarters.
passing.
And they can beat the Chiefs, and we gotta bench Russell Wilson to start Jarrett Stidham.
Exactly.
Unreal.
Eagles come in, they beat the Giants. An era has ended.
Yep.
An era has ended. The Paisano himself got benched for Tyrod Taylor. You hate to see it, but Tyrod Taylor definitely gave them a better opportunity to win that game, and actually almost, had a chance to tie it up there at the end. And then you go to the Ravens Niners, and that was just an absolute bludgeoning from the Ravens. And even saying that, the Niners kind of had a chance. They score that touchdown, and then they get the ball right back. They go down. If they score that second touchdown with more than 2 minutes left, they have all 3 timeouts plus a 2-minute warning before they kick the ball back to, or after they kick the ball back to Baltimore. And then at that point, it would have only been a 7-point game, but instead Sam Darnold gets sacked for a 10-yard loss and then throws an interception.
Yep.
So
Mhm.
you
You
they
hate to
end up
see it.
you hate well. I really hate to see it because if the Ravens lose that game, we have a shot at the number 1 spot in the division. We still have that shot, but we need the Ravens to lose both games, which they're not going to do. So that is a recap. That's probably been our longest recap so far. Wait, real quick, backing up. You don't think the Ravens? You think the Ravens have a chance to lose one of these next two, or both of these next two?
Yeah,
Rather?
they have the Dolphins and
They
then
have
the
a
Steelers
chance.
who are going to be playing for a playoff spot. I'm not saying it's likely. I'm just saying it's not impossible. Dolphins are fighting for that 1 seed, dog.
I do
they're gonna
think
come to
they,
play.
yeah, like there's an actual chance for them to lose to the Dolphins. That being said, the Steelers
Yeah,
probably
exactly.
not. We'll see. We'll see what they get next
If
week. We'll see
if
what we get.
Steelers already
if
beat
they
them once
lose,
this year.
yes, but if they beat the Steelers or if they beat the Dolphins at home, I'm sorry. If they lose to the Dolphins at home, they know that the division is literally on the line for that Steelers game. So they're all going to show up. So I don't think it's very likely that a 3-loss team loses their last 2 games, but it's not impossible. And I will keep my hopes alive as long as we win tomorrow. That has been our recap for the games this week. That's been our longest recap. Um, Lots of emotions felt by all of us on the games this weekend. But let's take a
I
quick
hate football.
glance.
I hate football.
No, you don't. Let's take a quick look at the NFL playoff picture. This right now is the AFC. The Ravens hold the 1 seed. If they win this weekend, they will be the 1 seed in the AFC. The Dolphins 2, the Chiefs 3, the Jaguars 4. The Browns would go play the Jags. The Bills would go play the Chiefs, and the Colts would go play the Dolphins if they started today. Jerry, what changes do you see happening in this AFC playoff picture, if any?
It's hard. I could see the Jags falling out of that division title spot and either the Colts or Texans. I could see the Colts Texans game at the end of the year being for the division. Sorry, Jason, but the Jags just aren't playing well right now, man. Trevor Lawrence is not Trevor Lawrence right now. And you're past the point of sitting him because you're playing week by week. You have to win every week now, so you can't sit your starter. So they're going to play him. He's going to be injured. He's going to look like crap. And so that week 18 game between the Colts and Texans is going to be for the division. I'm not saying they don't make the playoffs, but they ain't winning the division. There ain't no way.
Bet.
He said. Bet.
Very easy games. 2 very easy games.
Who do you guys have? You
Uh-huh.
got the Panthers and then the
And then
Titans.
the Titans.
I thought the Bengals were supposed to be an easy game a couple weeks ago too.
Yeah, but
No.
nobody has. No one has the GOAT Jake Browning playing for him, right?
True. Very true.
on, man.
Let's flip over to the NFC for the playoff picture on that side. We have the 49ers at the 1 seed, the Eagles 2, Lions 3, Buccaneers 4. Cowboys would be going to play the Buccaneers. The Rams would be going to play the Lions, and the Seahawks would be traveling to Philadelphia to play the Eagles if the playoffs were to start today. Jason, what changes do you see happening in the NFC playoff picture, if any?
Nada. This
Nada,
is exactly what I thought it was going to be. Actually, I'm pretty sure this is what I said last week, right?
a couple weeks ago. Yeah, I'm pretty
couple
sure
weeks
it
ago.
is.
Yeah. Yep, this is my picture, and I'm sticking to it.
What do the Bears need to make the playoffs? They're sitting at
A
6
lot
and
of
9.
things.
Wait,
They
yeah.
need
What?
a lot of things.
I saw they weren't eliminated, and I didn't think that they had a chance to get in, but obviously they still do. So
It's basically everyone above them in that wild card spot has to lose. Besides the Cowboys, doesn't matter. But the Rams and Seahawks um, yeah, basically have to lose out, I think.
Mhm.
And then the Packers, I don't know. It's like a wild scenario. It's pretty ridiculous, but technically they aren't eliminated, which is, I guess that's what we're going off these days.
I'm rooting
But
for it. Let's go Bears.
the Bears.
Bears.
Um, yeah, I'd have to agree with you, Jason. I think this is probably what's going to stand. I think the only thing that could happen is the Packers find a way to slide into that 7th seed, depending on how well the Seahawks do to end the season. I think the Rams are probably a lock, and then everyone else is pretty, I think, set in there. I think the Saints could make a run if the Buccaneers don't take care of business this weekend. But that's the NFC playoff picture. It'll be fun watching it come down the stretch here. Lots and lots of good games coming up. But let's move on to our most recurring segment, and we got a little bit of a change this week. We're moving on to our NFL. Oh, sorry, I thought we were going on to power rankings. I was
Oh,
mistaken.
I
We're
apologize.
actually going to the NFL playoff clinching scenarios. This is what happens when the Google Doc running the show isn't updated by the guy that moderates the show. So definitely on me this time, fellas.
It
Let's
is what it is.
let's talk a little bit about playoff clinching scenarios in the AFC. The Ravens and Dolphins have both clinched the playoffs, and there are one, two, uh, three, four teams that could clinch the playoffs this weekend. The easiest is the Cleveland Browns. They win, they're in. Or if Pittsburgh loses, Buffalo loses, Jacksonville loses, or Houston and Indianapolis loses. So if any of those things happen, Cleveland's in. The Jaguars, Jason, what do the Jaguars need in order to clinch this weekend?
Jesus, I'm just
Jesus, Jesus to come down from heaven above.
and just bless the shoulder, the brain, and the ankle of Trevor Lawrence, please, please. All right, what we really do need is Jacksonville clinches playoff berth and the AFC South Division title with a win in Indianapolis and a Houston loss.
Gotcha. So that's not outside of the realm of possibility. That could happen.
That could happen. Who do the Colts and
The Colts play the Raiders and the Texans play the Titans. So,
one of those things will happen?
so it's not impossible.
It's not impossible. Very
Jerry,
unlikely.
Buffalo, what do they need? They have like this
They have a lot.
long
oh my gosh.
laundry list.
All right.
It's like 14 different things.
Let me
Speed run
oh
this.
my gosh. All right. Buffalo. All right. 5 scenarios where Buffalo wins and they get in. This is coupled with Pittsburgh losing or tying, Cincinnati losing or tying, Jacksonville losing or tying, Houston and Indianapolis losing or tying. All right, and then you have Cincy losing or tying with Jacksonville losing or tying, Houston plus Indy losing or tying, and then a bunch of scenarios where Buffalo ties. I'm not even going to get into that because they're not going to tie.
Let's just say there's 14 scenarios.
Yeah, holy cow.
And none of them are Buffalo wins and they're in. So
Buffalo
Lots
wins
of
plus
crazy-
help. There you
plus
go.
a lot of help. The last one is Kansas City. Kansas City wins the AFC West with a win, or tie, or if Vegas and Denver both lose, which Denver's going to lose because who are they starting, Jerry?
Jarrett Stidham. Jarrett Stidham. You know,
So sad.
the Raiders started Jarrett Stidham last year for the same exact reason. The last 2 games, they benched Derek Carr because they didn't want to pay him because of injury insurance.
Something
Yep.
about paying people there in the AFC West. Unbelievable. Moving over to the NFC side, there are 3 playoff clinching scenarios currently clinched already. The Lions, they already won the NFC North. For 49ers, who have already won the NFC West. The Cowboys and the Eagles have both clinched. The NFC East winner will be determined the next couple weeks. But the 3 clinching scenarios, the LA Rams. Jerry, how do the LA Rams get in?
All right, Rams got to win plus a Seattle loss, or Rams win plus tie in the Minnesota Packers game this week. That's weird that that's the only scenario where that happens. But yeah,
Mhm.
2 scenarios for the Rams this week.
And not impossible. A little bit. The first one by far more likely than the second, but
Who does Seattle have
definitely
this
a
week?
possibility. The Steelers. Speaking of Seattle, Jason, how did the Seahawks make the playoffs this week?
The Seahawks make the playoffs, clinches playoff berth with
With
Seattle win. No, they don't need that. Plus a Green Bay and Minnesota tie.
Gotcha. So wait, so if Seattle wins, if the Rams win, Seattle wins, and Green Bay and Minnesota tie, the NFC playoffs will like be completely set. I think pretty much,
Mm,
with the exception of
Rams
uh,
win plus. Yeah, so the Rams.
yeah,
Yeah, it
Yeah.
would be. Yeah.
yeah, it would be pretty much set,
Cowboys,
with
Rams,
the exception
Eagles.
of
Yeah.
the NFC South. Um, which that comes to the last team. The NFC South can be clinched this weekend by Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with a win. If they win, they're in. They've clinched the South. Or a tie and Atlanta losing could clinch. So it's definitely a possibility for Tampa Bay to jump in, and a likelihood, most likely, they're at home for the Saints this week. So will be interesting to see how that goes. Again, all these wild scenarios. You have the Bills with 14 possibilities. You have the people like the Browns and the Buccaneers, just a win and you're in. If you win, you're in. You're probably resting your starters. It's going to be fun coming down the stretch. Now to the part that I alluded to just a little bit earlier. Our most recurring segment on this show is it. That's right. Yep. NFL power. That's what's next, right?
Yes,
No
moderator.
more. No more surprise scenarios. No more surprise topics.
Actually, we're gonna get into English Premier League power rankings right now.
Oh, lovely.
And first of all, it's also tied for first, okay?
Yeah.
What's tied
Yeah,
for
come on.
first?
The power
segment.
rankings.
What's the other one? Oh, that's right. Sorry, that's embarrassing. That's 2 strikes in the same show.
Eat out.
You're
I
on
hope
thin
you guys
ice,
don't-
buddy.
I hope you guys don't vote me out. You need a unanimous vote. You got one right here. We're doing the NFL power rankings a little bit differently this week. They are still generated the same way. All of us create our own power ranking. They're all aggregated together. They're thrown into a mathematical equation that takes into account several factors and then spits out these 32 teams in the correct order. These are the power rankings for this week. But this time we're going to reveal the kind of 32 through 11 real quickly and then do a reveal for our top 10. So, starting in that last echelon, fighting for the number 1 pick in the draft this year, we have the Panthers at 32, Commanders at 31, Cardinals at 30, Patriots at 29, Chargers at 28, number 27 is the Jets, 26 the Giants, 25 is the Titans. Moving through to the next sort of echelon of these kind of outside looking in, the Falcons at 24, Bears 23, Saints 22, Vikings 21, the Packers at 20, the Raiders at 19, the Broncos at 18, the Steelers at 17. This last kind of list of people that are likely have a good shot at making the playoffs, but still haven't shown enough to be considered a premier top 10 team. You have the Colts at 16, the Jaguars at 15, 14 is the Texans, 13 is the Bengals, 12 Seahawks, 11 Chiefs. Now, into our top 10. At number 10, we have the LA Rams. The Rams have been on yes, let's give it up for the Los Angeles Rams. They had a rough start to this season. They've really turned it around. Their offense looks to be unstoppable. Jason, what has been impressive about the Rams this season so far to you?
I think a mix of everything. I mean, Kyron Williams has put on a heater still on his heater. His yards, touchdowns, all of the above has looked like an all-around back, receiving as well, and can be a dominant back in the NFL. I mean, Cooper Kupp, Matthew Stafford come back. healthy are playing lights out as well. And of course, Puka Nakua. I mean, you dropped him that late, and then you get a star wide receiver, and put it all together. That's just dominant offense. I mean, their defense can hang on. I mean, you still have Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald is who he's going to be. He's a championship caliber guy. So, just a mix of everything, I think.
Yeah, I think they've been extremely impressive and quite the turnaround. Everyone thought they were kind of quietly tanking. McVay was going to leave, and now they're primed to make a playoff run. And that's a team that I would not want to play in the playoffs. At number 9, what do we have? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They have played this year in streaks. They started out 3-1, then they went 1-5. Ugh. Oh, 1-6. I'm sorry. 1-6,
Oh, wow.
and through a 7-game stretch, and now they've gone 4-0 to be back above 500, 8-7, with a chance to clinch the playoffs, with a chance for Baker Mayfield to earn $1 million for winning the NFC South this week. I mean, it's a pretty incredible turnaround this season. Jerry, what about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers makes you think that they could maybe make a run in the playoffs?
Well, first of all, they're gonna have a home playoff game if they win their division. That's a huge boost, and it'll likely be against the Cowboys, who cannot win on the road.
GG.
Yeah,
I mean,
GG.
enough said. Enough said.
That being said, Baker Mayfield has played his way into a starter role, definitely into a good contract this year. I know both sides have come out and said they are mutually interested in a long-term contract. For Baker, the touchdown maker, the playmaker, whatever you want to call him, he is balling out this year. Real resurgence for him. A lot of credits also to Mike Evans, who has quietly been a top 10 perennial wide receiver.
10 more years.
For 10 years. He's only 30 years old. I when I heard that this morning, it blew my mind. Dude has had 1,000 yards in every single year since he's came into the league. He's in the upper echelons with like Larry Fitzgerald, Jerry Rice, T.O. if he continues that path of getting 1,000 yards. Dude is just, and day in, day out, a guy that you can rely on, who's going to be consistent and who's gonna be real productive. Another guy is Rachaad White. He's had one heck of a year at the running back position. Just comes in, and I don't know exactly what he's averaging right now. I'd have to look at the stats, but I know he's in, I think, the top 10 for yards per game for running backs right now. Dude is absolutely playing. Sorry, go ahead.
No, absolutely. If you look at just the last few games, he has been the run game for the Buccaneers actually for the season is in the bottom end of the league, but that's not for lack of trying. They kept running the ball, not getting yards, and then in their 4-game win streak, and I think of their last 5 games, he's in that like averaging over 100 yards a game. In that, it's because it's finally sort of broke through, and that clearly has helped Baker start to put together the offense. He only has to throw it 25, 26 times with really good efficiency, really high numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been extremely impressive to watch. Both these two NFC teams are on a massive surge right now. Originally, we were going to do top 8, but I was like, I think we should talk about the Rams and the Buccaneers because they actually look really, really talented.
I would not want to play either of these teams right now. They are hot.
Extremely hot. Talking about a team that's not doing so hot right now. Number 8, we have the Philadelphia Eagles, still a really good squad. They found a way to beat the Giants. But Jason, do you have confidence coming down the stretch that the Eagles can make a deep playoff run, or do you think they have too many concerns to actually really make a push this season?
I think they're talented enough around their holes to make it to an AFC championship game. Do they win that game? Absolutely not. Their defense has too many holes in the back end side. That being said, they do show some life early in the game, but they're not closing out these games, and I think that's another big issue and a very important thing you have to focus on in the playoffs. So can they get there? Yes. Are they going to be a Super Bowl team? Probably not. I mean, they were my Super Bowl favorites to begin the season, but injuries and just not good not good defensive backs.
Well, I think coming into this year, everybody expected them to have the best defense in the league, and it's been arguably one of the worst. Like, they can't
That's
stop
right, yeah.
anybody. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, their secondary has a lot of holes right now.
It does, and I don't think that they've really done much to figure that out these last few weeks. I mean, allowing the Giants to actually make somewhat of a comeback
Right.
is concerning. But at the end of the day, they are 11-4. I mean, they're a top ball club. You can't bring them out of your top 10.
Mhm.
But definitely concerning. One spot above them, team that just beat them a few weeks ago at number 7, the Dallas Cowboys. Now, this team still hasn't got the road monkey off their back yet. They played much better this week than they did against the Bills, but they still end up losing. Jerry, is this just how the Cowboys are? They just can't play on the road? Or do you think by the end of this year, McCarthy has those boys figuring it out and they can make that deep playoff run? Because it looks like they're not going to win the NFC East at this point. So they're
Yeah.
going to have to go on the road.
Yeah. I mean, they're going, they're likely going to play the Buccaneers in the playoffs, right? The Buccaneers, while we do talk about them being a hot team, they definitely have their holes. Definitely a beatable team. And I don't know. We're going into week 17 and we're still talking about how the Cowboys can't win on the road. If they haven't figured it out, they're not going to figure it out by now, I still think, obviously, they have the weapons in CeeDee Lamb. Jake Ferguson's had a really good year. Brandon Cooks had a really good year. They still have the weapons to get it done. I think if they play against the Bucks, they probably do bounce the Bucks in the first round. But when you get to that second round, likely playing against either the Lions or the Eagles, no shot they can go in and beat those teams in a road playoff game.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult. And I think that a team like the Cowboys, where you see so much potential, you see so much greatness, especially when they're at home, where they're dang near the best team in the NFL in
Mhm.
certain stretches, like just completely smothering on defense. They remind you a little bit of the uh, Colts back in the day, where they would have
Dwight
uh,
Freeney and
exactly where they would have Peyton
Dwight
Manning go.
Freeney and
Was
who's
it
the other
DeMarcus
defensive back?
Ware
Reggie White.
or Reggie
Reggie
White?
White.
Sorry, completely off on that one. What am I saying? But now I was thinking Cowboys. That's why I said that.
Mhm.
But it reminds you a little bit of that because Dak goes out and gets you this quick early lead, so the teams have to pass the ball a lot, and you have such a great pass rush. But if you can't get that lead, if you get bullied around at the line of scrimmage, if Dak can't come through on the road, it doesn't much matter because you're going to be playing the entire playoffs on the road. Moving on, number 6, the Buffalo Bills coming in. Now, this team, another red hot team, had a little bit of a stumble against the Chargers, but ultimately they were able to come out with the win. Jason, you see this team making a deep playoff run or stumbling here towards the end?
I think they have figured out their identity finally, and I think that's probably the most important thing for them. I mean, every other team except for the Ravens and I would say the Browns probably struggling with their identity right now, whether that's because of injuries or not having the best abilities, people in that position to boost your identity. I think other than the Bills, other than the Browns and the Ravens, I think the Bills are in that. So yes, I do believe the Bills will be able to make a good push. They've been giving the ball to Cook, and they're able to run a little bit better, and that frees up some of the passing offense.
Let James cook. That's what they were saying
Nice.
after that Cowboys
Nice one.
game. I didn't make that up. That was regurgitated. I think with them finally finding, like you said, their identity, and Josh Allen, if he cuts down on those turnovers, they instantly become a very dangerous team in the playoffs, and not one that I would
If
want to play.
if
Go ahead.
if the Dolphins lose this week and the Bills win, week 18 is for the division, right? Bills versus
Correct.
Dolphins. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
So it could happen.
We were just talking about like 3 weeks ago how the Bills are not going to make the playoffs, and now they
Might win the
50-50
division.
to win the division. Yeah.
And they may have home playoff
Yeah.
games.
I think I would like that more than the opposite. Honestly, get him out of there. Actually, I don't want to play the Dolphins. Never mind.
You guys don't want to play anybody right now. You
No.
just want the
Yeah.
season to end.
Yeah.
I think it
Can the
was
Panthers
easier.
somehow make it in the AFC?
I think it was easier when by this time I'm already looking at like NFL prospects for the draft. Back in the days,
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Well, speaking of teams that people don't want to play in the playoffs, number 5, the Cleveland Browns. Their defense is just too good. Joe Flacco at the moment is averaging over 300 yards a game. He's set the record for most consecutive 300-yard games in the Browns' career. He set the record for most yards in first 4 starts. He just helped Amari Cooper set the record for most receiving yards in a single game. I mean, he has been a complete boost in the arm for our offense, and it's been unbelievable, honestly, watching that. And you pair that with the number 1 defense in the NFL. This is a team that if he cuts down on his turnovers, I would not want to play the Browns in the playoffs because they can smother you on defense and they can score points on offense. And there still is a path to the number 1 seed and a division win. And it requires a lot. It requires the Ravens to lose to both the Dolphins and the Steelers, and then the Browns to win out, and then the Bills to beat the Dolphins in Week 18. So those, if all of those things happen, the Browns will be the 1 seed. But at the end of the day, I'm just happy with the fact that we're probably going to make the playoffs. Our coach has been fantastic this year with 4 different quarterbacks, and Flacco just lets that ball rip. He just throws it, and he looks great. And
It was a pretty ball too.
It is.
it's just so it's just
It's nice and tight.
unbelievable.
It's nice and tight. Spiral.
Yes. It's a tight spiral, but it doesn't have the crazy velocity on it.
Mhm.
So it's like
That's
a
the
very
ball.
catchable ball too. So like something Amari Cooper's talking about is like his timing's perfect with the speed of the ball being just like it catching you. It's very fun to watch. I've never seen someone in a Browns uniform throw the ball quite like that. So moving on, number 4, the division clinching Detroit Lions. Who would have thought that the Browns and Lions would be ranked in the top 5 for anyone's power rankings, but let alone the real power rankings.
The
But
faction.
Facts.
but Jerry, what makes the Lions so formidable, and do you think that they have a legit shot at making a run here deep into the playoffs?
No, I actually don't think they have a legit shot at going deep.
Bum, bum,
Obviously
ba-dum.
they're a very good team. Top 5, I think, in everybody's power rankings. Number 4 in ours, the correct ones. Jared Goff is obviously playing very well. Jahmyr Gibbs has, over the last half of the season here, Dan Campbell's finally starting to use him correctly. He's really shown some explosive playmaking ability. The problem that I have with the Lions and why they are still kind of on my fraud watch is that they have a tough time closing out games. They have a knack for letting teams back into the game. They don't really pile it on. They don't really keep the foot on the pedal. We're talking about their last 6 games here against the Bears. They were down by like 2 scores in the fourth quarter, had to claw their way back into a win. Kudos to them for getting that win. On Thanksgiving against the Packers, absolutely laid an egg. Everybody was hyping them up, and they just dropped one to the Packers at home on Thanksgiving. Against the Saints, they were up 21-0 in the first quarter. Final score was 33-28. The Saints had a legitimate shot to come back and win that game. And then obviously dropped to the Bears. Broncos game, won't talk about. They dominated, whatever. This Vikings game this past weekend, Vikings, again, they just let them back into the game. Vikings had a legit shot. So if they got to find a way to keep the foot on the pedal and late in these games and really close it out. They've obviously won the majority of those games, so you don't get to the spot without winning those games. But if we're looking at a team like the Vikings last year that were 11-0 and 1-score games that got bounced in the first round against the Giants, so something that could happen this year, maybe not. I do think they're a very good team, and they're very exciting to watch.
They are extremely exciting, and I'm interested to see where they go. I'd love for Dan Campbell to be able to make a real legit run here. People made fun of him Colin Cowherd called him
Cowherd.
Fred Flintstone when he was hired as the Lions head coach. So the fact that he has them winning the division and with a legit shot has me excited. At number 3, we have the Browns. Browns for number 5. Sorry, guys. The Miami. I just have Browns on the brain. You know, it's the Miami Dolphins.
Right, that sounded
Miami
the
Dolphins.
brain.
The 11-win team. Mike McDaniels has put together probably the most explosive offense in the NFL. Everyone on that team runs like a 4-2. It's absolutely unbelievable. They're really fun to watch. Jason, is there anything that's concerning about the Dolphins? I think Bradley Chubb's really made an impact on that defense, especially
Yeah,
these last
imagine
few games.
having Bradley Chubb on your
We
team.
did the same thing last year. Beat the Jags in England. And then, we're back in the playoff race. At the trade deadline, trade away Bradley Chubb for a first-round pick. You know what we used that first-round pick on?
Who?
Sean Payton. Sean Payton, the guy... Never mind. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't even remember the question. Give it to me.
The Dolphins, are they off fraud watch now? Do you feel confident in them going to the
Yeah.
playoffs?
I think they're off fraud watch. Again, like I said 2 weeks ago, I think they proved it to me. Being able to play the Jets and get the probably second worst matchup against your team. Number one being the Browns. And still being able to provide offense out there, and then coming out and beating a good Cowboys team. I think they've proven themselves to be a contender in the AFC.
I'd have to agree. I think that Tua is such an accurate quarterback with the speed of Tyreek Hill, and if Jalen Waddle gets healthy in time for the playoffs, that's a team that I would not want the Browns to play, because we play almost solely man coverage, and trying to
Mhm.
man cover Tyreek Hill is not a recipe for success.
Can't be done.
It can't be done. At number 2, we have the San Francisco 49ers. They just got dog walked by the Ravens, but have had a pretty dominating season this year. And honestly, I think it was kind of a one-time deal. I really think that Brock Purdy has shown he's a very good quarterback. I don't think he's an MVP this year. He's not. He hasn't had a perfect season. You can't. I don't think you can give the MVP to someone who in a game throws 4 interceptions to no touchdowns. But at the same time, I think that their team is poised with the talent they have to go on a run. And then at number 1, we have the Baltimore Ravens for the first time. They look to be the most complete team in the NFL. They don't have the best offense, they don't have the best defense. They probably have the best kicker. But even this season, he hasn't been the best kicker. Doesn't matter. Across the board, they're just so complimentary. When their offense goes out, they go down the field, they rush the ball, they take up the time, they score a touchdown, their defense comes out, gets a quick stop, gets the ball back to the offense, then they bleed the clock out, good run game, Lamar makes a couple plays, boom, another touchdown. Now you're already down 14 points against the team that's leading the NFL in sacks. It's just they play this very smothering type of football, and they're very hard out. So they make the number 1 spot on our NFL power rankings this week. Yes. Congratulations to the Baltimore Ravens. We just need you to lose the next 2 weeks. But these have been our power rankings. We're going to take a quick break, but we'll be right back, and we'll see you here shortly. Welcome back to the Unnamed Sports Show. If you're just tuning in, because we're going to pretend this is a live television program, I'm your host, Ryan, joined by Jason and Jerry. Again, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment. Follow us on social media at Unnamed Sports S. We're on X, formerly known as Twitter, Instagram, and the TikTok. We're moving on. Time to talk a little bit about Thursday night football. Jets at Browns. Browns 7.5 point favorites. That seems like a lot of points. I know the Browns have been good lately, but 7.5 is pretty big. Jerry, how do you see this one going?
Oh man, this is gonna be an ugly one. I think, mostly because of the Jets. I think the Browns will be fine. The Jets are just so bad, man. I know they just put 30 up on the Commanders, but I think the Commanders are also just that bad. Trevor Siemian gets to start again this week. I just don't see any situation in which the Jets win this game or even cover. I think the Browns are just going to absolutely dominate every facet of this game. Their defense is too good to let Trevor Siemian do anything to them. Even if you give the ball to Breece Hall, the Browns' run defense is just too good. Browns definitely cover. I think it's under 34.5. It's low, but I think it's going to be an under game. Both of these defenses are just too good. Browns in the all whites, you can't go against it. They're just too pretty. The all white helmets just look too clean for the Browns. Browns dominate this game.
Yeah, I think that you're absolutely right. I think the Browns.
Of course you do.
Well, here's the thing: the Jets are pretty bad at football, and the Browns aren't. So that's my analysis, expert analysis here on the Unnamed Sports Show. Jason, what feelings do you have before we get into tied for first in longest running segment on the show? How do you think this game goes?
Same thing. It's going to be ugly. I don't even know if the 7.5 clears. Like, is the score going to be 7-0? Maybe.
It very well could be. Very well could be. The Browns don't just signed a kicker off of out of free agency and a punter out of free agency, or I guess off of the different people's practice squads, because both our punter and kicker and backup quarterback are injured. PJ Walker's now off the practice squad again. So Browns injuries continue, but not to anyone in those key positions. So I'd have to agree. Moving into the longest running segment on this show, we have JJ's moonshot bet of the week. Run it, Jerry.
Ho, 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 ho!
Since it's still basically Christmas, we wanted to run that one again.
Ho, ho, ho.
But Jason, what do you got for us?
What do I have for you this week? Well, to my DJs, to my hopes, to my dreamers, to my believers, I have a win for you guys this week. Let's make some Christmas money, all right? Even though it's not Christmas anymore.
Got to pay those credit card bills.
Exactly. All right, so we're going to dial it down a little bit. Like I said earlier, this is going to be a very defensive game, not much scoring. What we will get is a 3,222 odds bet for you, though. David Njoku, 40-plus yards receiving. He has been, other than last week,
You're
we're not
50
going to talk about
yards.
that. Yeah, I know.
50 yards
But other than last week, he's been the most targeted player and had the most receptions in the games previous. Last week, it was a record-breaking for Amari Cooper, and some people didn't start him in their fantasy league.
He also said we were making a bet Sunday morning. He said, let's not put Amari Cooper in. He's been too inconsistent. Just to get like 40 yards, by the way, not 250.
He had that on the first play.
All right.
First
David
play was
Njoku,
a
40-plus
60-yard
yards.
bomb to Cooper.
We don't care. Okay? We don't care. Garrett Wilson, 40-plus yards receiving. He's also been their number one target and the best receiver on the Jets. Joe Flacco, 1+ passing touchdown. It's going to happen. Joe Flacco, easy money.
He's had
All right.
2 or more passing touchdowns in every single game he's played.
Thank you. 1 is easy. 200-plus yards passing. It's a little close with this one. The Jets have a good passing defense, but Joe Flacco getting 200 when he's been getting 300. Come on now.
He threw
Easy.
200 in the
Easy.
fourth quarter of the Bears game.
Where's the check mark
Remember.
at? Where's the check mark?
Yeah, yeah. Bring it up. Check.
Yeah.
Okay. David Njoku over 4.5 receptions. Easy money. Ryan. Yep. All right. Then we have Jerome Ford anytime touchdown. Jerome Ford, check. I think running backs are heavily touchdown against the Jets. Either it's passing, running, they're going to get the touchdown. We're going with Jerome Ford. Brees Hall, 25 yards rushing. Easy. It's just 25 yards. It's going to happen. Check. Cedric Tillman, 19.5 yards. Has gotten at least 20, I believe, in the last 5 games. Check.
Yeah, he's emerged. Oh, sorry. Yeah, one more.
No, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just say Cedric Tillman has emerged as pretty much the number 2 for Joe Flacco at the receiver position. Obviously, Njoku and Garrett Wilson are the number 1, but Flacco likes the big body size of Tillman and how he literally like fights for catches. He's been really good since Joe Flacco's taken over quarterback.
See what I'm saying? That's why I didn't start Amari Cooper. All right. Cedric Tillman, 19.5. And then last but not least, Amari Cooper. We can't disrespect him twice in a row. 40-plus yards receiving. He's going to hit it this week for sure. Ryan, can I get a last one? Ryan, can I get a last one?
I dropped it. Sorry.
Check! All right. That is your first win from the Unnamed Sports Show. We're going to hit this week, I promise. 1 in what? 1 in 7. All right. Believe me. I'm a doctor. Or maybe I need a doctor.
you need to call the numbers. What you need.
Yeah. 1-800-GAMBLER. If
Look, I've seen videos of people calling that number when they call, and the people act like they're not like a help center. They act like they're fast food or something. It's crazy. Don't call that number. Actually, just go see a professional. Get some actual help.
Stop it. Get some help.
get some help.
Get some.
Get some help. Hey, we're about to go 1 and 7 this week. This has been Jason's Moonshot Bet. Again, the longest tenured, tied for longest tenured segment on this show. I can't believe the disrespect I showed this segment earlier in the show today. I promise it won't happen again. But thank you, Jason. Thank you very much. We got some other big Sunday matchups. A lot of playoff implications, as we previously discussed. First up on Saturday, the Lions travel to Dallas to take on the Cowboys. Cowboys 6.5 favorites. Jerry, how do you see this one going?
Man, I was just talking about the Lions' inability to close out games.
Like Fraud Bowl Part 2.
This really is. This is the actual Fraud Bowl, I think, because Cowboys obviously. Are they undefeated at home still, or do they have 1 loss? I think they're undefeated at home.
The Cowboys, undefeated
Yeah.
at home. They have not lost.
Man,
They have the
yeah.
largest. They have the largest difference in point differential from their home games to their away games since the 1985 Steelers, I believe.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a fun game to watch. I don't think defenses are going to play any part in this game, really. I'm thinking definitely hammer that over of 53.5. Easy. I mean, you're looking at 30-24. It hits easy. I think it is going to be a close game. I think the Cowboys will pull it out because the Lions cannot close out games. Cowboys are going to claw back, will not cover. I think you hammer Lions covering Cowboys money line, parlay that together with the over. I think you got yourself a winner.
I like it.
That's my take on this one. 6 points is a lot, by the way.
That's a lot.
That's
That
a
is
lot.
There's a lot of points for a division-winning Lions team, but who knows? They're a little bit on that fraud alert, like you talked about. Moving on to Sunday, we have the Dolphins at the Ravens. I'm not sure how this isn't the Sunday night game. I guess because the Ravens were just on prime time, they don't want to do it back-to-back weeks. But this game is really for the number 1 seed in the AFC. Ravens 3.5-point favorites at home. Jason, what's your thoughts going into this game? Do the Dolphins upset, like I fingers crossed, hope they do. The Ravens at home.
Let me give you a little something for your hope. All right. Teams after they beat a good team, you know what usually happens? Because we did so good. Oh, take Monday off. Oh, fail. So I do believe the Dolphins have a good answer for the Ravens with their Tyreek Hill and did I say Tyreek Hill?
You
Yeah, I
did.
think I did.
You
Okay,
may have mentioned him.
so I think Tyreek Hill shows up in this game a week out of, or another week out of his injury, comes healthy and has a crazy game, honestly. So
Didn't counterpoint to what you just said about teams beating good teams. Didn't the Dolphins just beat a good team in a much closer game in which they had to fight a lot harder
frauds.
for?
Cowboys are frauds. I thought we said that, didn't we? No?
There's like 10-5. Like,
Look,
Counterpoint. I really
Who's a
want the
better team?
Ravens to lose. So go Dolphins. Fins up, baby.
if the Dolphins win this game and the Browns end up winning the division, you got to buy a Tyreek jersey. You have to.
Yes, I will. And a Joe Flacco jersey, which I can't believe I haven't already bought. That may be what I do as soon as the show ends. Like he's the best quarterback since Bernie Kosar. All right? Like how? How is this happening? Nobody knows. But it should be an exciting weekend of football. That's all we're going to talk about. There's a couple other big games. The Buccaneers play the Saints. Buccaneers win, and they're in. There's a couple other the Bengals and Chiefs play. Some AFC playoff implications there. But we're going to wrap it up with our NFL talk today. We have another big, exciting week in another sport of football, NCAA football. We have the New Year's Six Bowls and the college football playoffs coming up this weekend. Starting with Friday night, 8 p.m., Ohio State versus Missouri and the Cotton Bowl. Ohio State 2.5-point favorites is all started. I believe the line started at 6.5. Has gone down since. Jason, tell the fun people at home, why has that line gone down? What do you think the Buckeyes are going to be able to do in this game?
the line has gone down because of the transfers coming out of Ohio State. Sorry, I've been interacting with some fans on the side.
we
But
got the chat popping right now.
the
Man.
chat's still
Whoa.
popping.
Let's
Jacob,
go.
you gotta believe. Randy, Matt, don't be mean. All right, let me believe. All right. Anyways, back to Ohio State. The Ohio State Buckeyes. That line has dropped again because of transfers like Julian Fleming. Couldn't confirm Marvin Harrison will not be playing in this game. We don't have a quarterback, I guess. Good riddance. Other than that, I think a lot of people. Honestly, I don't know why the line has dropped because I expected more people to not be playing in this game that are playing in this game. So to be honest, to be fair,
He's reading
I
the
don't-
chat.
Sorry. Oh, jeez. All right. Sorry. Go ahead.
yikes. Okay. Anyways, yeah, more people are playing than what I expected to be playing, so I believe the line shouldn't have really dropped. So I think we go out there. Devin Brown gives his best effort to show why he should be the number one quarterback next year, and he does so. We see a reinsurgence of life in the wide receiver room. If you guys remember, one of Marfison's best games of all time was his first game that he played in a bowl game, and started because some of the other players were sitting out, like I believe it was Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson, both. So I think we're going to see a Carnell Tate show why he was a 5-star receiver and why he was the number one receiver coming out, and he gives us an amazing game as well.
Sorry, the chat kind of distracted me there.
And it did to me.
You didn't
too,
hear
so
a
I
single word of that.
No, I listened. I heard it all. Ohio State's going to win. More players are playing than you thought. I got it. I picked up what you're laying down, and I have to agree. I think the Buckeyes defense is just too good, and Missouri's not like I've watched them play several games this year. I'm not impressed. I think 9 is a little bit high for them, but
Mm.
if they beat Ohio State, I'll have to eat my words on that. That takes us into Saturday. We get the Peach Bowl, Ole Miss versus Penn State. Penn State 4.5 point favorites. Jerry, what do you see happening in this one? Another Big Ten SEC matchup. Lots of those this upcoming weekend.
Yeah, there's what, 3 of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
No, well,
but
3 technically, and then next
in
year
the New
4.
Year's 6. Wait, and the
Well,
next year 4.
If this was next year, it'd be 4 because Texas and Washington
Ah,
go to the SEC and Big Ten next year. So
yeah.
I apologize. Continue.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, Penn State, their only 2 losses to Michigan and Ohio State this year. Unfortunately, when they play good teams like this, James Franklin cannot close out. He cannot play the big games. It's kind of been his kryptonite since he became the coach at Penn State. I think 4.5 points, it's too much for Penn State to cover. I think Ole Miss wins this game. Unfortunately for you guys, beats the Big Ten. I know you guys always root for the Big Ten, no matter who it is. Yeah, I think Ole Miss pulls this one out. Is Katron Allen playing this week? Playing in this game?
Believe he is.
The thing about
And
Penn State,
Drew
their
Aller
defense
is not playing, correct? Because he's still injured.
A good question. I do not know.
I'm not sure on that one. What I do know is Penn State has almost as good a defense as Ohio State and Michigan. Like those are 3 of the top 5 defenses in college football, and Penn State's probably the best at getting after the passer. So something to keep in mind when talking about the game. But
True.
also, Ole Miss is a good ball club. I think James Franklin, if he does want to retain that Penn State job for a little bit longer, he will find a way to win this game because they can't just keep beating everyone except Ohio State and Michigan and then not being able to beat good teams in bowl games. They did beat Utah last year in the Rose Bowl, which was a big win for their program. But we'll see if they're able to keep turning it around. That takes us to the Orange Bowl. Georgia, 19.5 point favorites versus number 5 undefeated Florida State. On one hand, you feel bad because Florida State's not in the playoffs, and then they go, "Oh, you're upset you're not in the playoffs? All right, how about you play Georgia, a team that won 27
Yeah.
straight games and barely lost in the SEC championship? How you like that? You want to win? Go beat them." So, I mean, a little bit of a unfair draw for the Seminoles.
I'm
but
glad it happened that way, though. Like, you want to complain about it? And look, I'm on the side of Florida State. I think they should have been in. Go out and prove it. Go out and win the game.
Not
That
happening,
being
bro.
said, give me
They're-
Georgia.
Yeah. Give me Georgia. Okay,
like
but like,
when McAfee was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
with that being said, give me Georgia.
first of all, we have Florida State's 3rd-string quarterback playing. Their backup is transferring out. Keon Coleman, the best wide receiver, top 5 wide receiver in the nation, the best wide receiver on that team, sitting out. They have zero chance. There's zero chance. Brock Bowers might be sitting out. It does not matter. It does not matter.
Yeah, I agree. I think Georgia is just way too talented across the board, and Florida State, unfortunately, without their quarterback, it's just not going to happen. I do feel bad for their team for not even getting a chance, but at the same time, they're going to get absolutely dominated in this game. And watch us be wrong. Watch Florida State come out, pull out some miracle win, and then they can go, "We're calling ourselves the national championship champions because we went undefeated."
I mean, they're not wrong, though. Like, if they
Yeah.
go undefeated, they beat Georgia,
Like
you got to kind of give it to them.
a little bit for sure. And that takes us to the last New Year's Six Bowl, the 6th of the, or 4th of the, I don't know. It's labeled, I guess the college football playoffs is still called the New
Yeah, I
Year's.
think they're still part of
6.
it.
So it's like, so this is the last one that doesn't really mean anything. And you have a team that doesn't really mean anything playing against Oregon. Liberty versus Oregon. Oregon 16.5 point favorites in the Fiesta Bowl on Monday, 1 p.m. Jason, what's the? I mean, does Liberty?
How'd they
Like,
even get 16.5 when Georgia
don't
has a
know.
19.5?
I don't know.
I
What's
don't
that
know.
number?
I don't know. I don't know how it's not like 28 points.
20.
Yeah, I think Liberty's undefeated.
Never
13-0.
lost till Monday.
Yeah.
Is Bo Nix not playing or something? Like, is that why
Yeah.
it's only 16.5?
This
That might
you're talking about probably outside of 2 Washington games, probably the most dominant team this year against
Yeah.
everybody else besides Washington.
Yeah.
Playing against a team that hasn't played a Power 5 school this year.
Yeah. Also,
be
the
seeing you.
66.5 for the over/under.
Yeah.
66.5. Are we for real?
Hammer
right
that
now?
over.
Yeah.
Hammer that
Yeah.
over.
Yeah, that's low. Come on now. Yeah. Uh,
Yeah,
Yeah.
no chance.
I don't know anything about Liberty. Give me
I don't
Oregon.
know.
Yeah, give me Oregon.
Yeah.
Give me Oregon. Let's move off this one. Yeah, I have no idea. It'd be fun to see an upset, but probably ain't gonna happen. We move into the college football playoffs. These games actually mean something. This is the tightest spread, I believe, since the inception of the college football playoffs for the first round of games. Michigan favored in this first one at 5 p.m. By 1.5. That's weird to me. Isn't that weird? That why is Michigan Alabama the first game? I feel like that's going to be the
I
more
don't know.
watched game. No,
Probably because Washington is in the
West Coast.
West Coast.
Yeah.
So you get more
And
viewers.
Texas,
Yeah,
kind of.
Yep.
Yeah.
I suppose. But man, that Rose Bowl is going to be absolutely is going to be the most watched game probably this year with Alabama
Well,
taking on Michigan.
and you also have to think the Rose Bowl is usually the Big Ten at large, so maybe that has something to do with it as well.
Yeah, and I think
Potentially.
the Rose Bowl is always played at 5 o'clock on New Year's Day, right? Like that's been like
But
every year. That's
actually,
what time it's set at.
I believe so.
maybe, but locationally, if you're talking about where the games are being played,
That would make more sense for the
Mhm.
it would make more sense for the Rose Bowl to be the later window. It doesn't really matter. Who cares when the games are played? They're played Monday on New Year's Day. You have Alabama as 1.5 point dogs to Michigan. Jason, this game is probably, I think, is going to be a clash of 2 really good ball programs. I personally think Michigan is the better team. I think, unfortunately, as much as I'm rooting for Alabama, because I'm done rooting for Michigan in any game ever, I think Michigan has probably been the most dominant team this year.
Not so fast, my friend.
Got Lee Corso.
I
I didn't
think
know Lee Corso was
Alabama.
He's
black.
back.
Alabama. Okay, but for real though, I really do think
Can't say
Alabama has.
that, dog.
Wait, what?
Nothing. Continue, Jason.
You're fine. Don't cancel me. I think Alabama in the last 3 weeks have played some of the best football, and I think Joe Milton is going to actually be a problem, and honestly, probably a future Heisman favorite for me. That being said, I think Alabama has the defense to be able to stop Michigan up front. They have a good offensive line. They have a good defensive line. Should be able to handle that front seven. I think Joe Milton is going to be the difference maker in this game. We'll see. We'll see.
My only counter to that would be Alabama struggled several times this year against. Now, to Alabama's credit, their strength is their run defense. Their pass defense isn't great. And Michigan's strength is their running the ball. But if you look at the teams that they've played and who they've struggled against, Michigan has struggled in 2 games this year. They still won them, and that was against Ohio State in a very, very good ball game, and against Penn State in a game they still won by double digits and didn't pass the ball in the second half. So,
Yep.
I mean, they seem to me to be an extremely dominant team against the Alabama team that's fun to watch, but I just don't think has the depth that Michigan has. But I see what you're saying, and Milrow has been absolutely fantastic. So we'll see. It's gonna be fun to watch.
This would be a great game.
It is.
to wrap up the first round of the college football playoffs, we have Texas, who's officially back, taking on Washington, who's undefeated. Texas 4.5 point favorites. I'm going to go out and say before I go to you, Jerry, I think this line's off. I think Washington. If you look at the strengths of each team, Washington's strength is obviously passing. They're the number one passing offense in all of college football. And Texas has like the 100th ranked pass defense. Now, they're very good up front. They're very good at stopping the run. If this was Texas against Michigan, I think you'd be a little bit more not sure which way to go. But Washington's going to throw the ball all over the yard, and I think they're not going to have too hard a time against Texas. Jerry, what do you think about this matchup?
No, I 100% agree with you. I think it's very disrespectful to Washington that Texas is favored by 4.5 points. I mean, we're talking about an undefeated conference champion in the Pac-12, which was arguably the best conference in the nation this year, just based on the records of each team. And Michael Penix is going to have 350 plus, maybe 2-3 touchdowns easy, like without a sweat. I know Quinn Ewers, he can ball. Washington's defense is a lot better than we give him credit for, though. So I think they're going to – Quinn Ewers is going to get his – I'm thinking 250, 300. But I think he's going to have a tougher time doing it. And Washington is not a team that gives up the big play, and that's kind of what Texas is looking for. Whereas you just mentioned it, Texas's pass defense it's not there, and Penix is going to thrive on that. He's done it all year long against bad pass defenses. This is going to be no different. I think Washington wins this handily by 2 scores, and I'm hammering the over of 62.5. Hammering it.
Dang.
Tacos.
I will say I do think Washington's going to win. I think 2 scores is a lot, but I do think Washington wins this game.
I think it's going to be one of those scenarios where they win by 2 scores because Texas has to go for it on 4th down a couple of times. Doesn't get it. Washington gets the ball in good field position and kind of runs up the score a little bit.
Runs it up. Yeah, that makes sense. I like the prediction. I like it. Well, that wraps up our college football playoff. We've been pretty much talking solely football for the last couple of weeks, but that's really because that's what's going on right now. That's what the sports world is right now. It's coming into the playoffs for the NFL. We're in the playoffs for college football, and it's going to be fun to see where everything lies. Here in a couple of weeks, I'm sure we'll start talking about the NHL, the NBA, and other big news and big sports going on. But for right now, it's the NFL and NCAA. So
football is king.
Football is king. So thank you guys so much for joining us.
By the way, football just absolutely ripped Christmas out of the hands of the NBA this year.
Yeah.
Just took it and
said, hey, this is our ball and you can't use it anymore. Yeah. This is ours. Now, when Christmas falls on Tuesday next year, I guess they'll have it back. But at least in the meantime, how's that dirt taste, NBA? No, just kidding. But
Go Cavs, baby. Go Cavs.
Yeah, dang right.
Go Cavs.
Dang right.
Yeah, healthy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much for joining the Unnamed Sports Show today. We really appreciate you guys watching. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment. Obviously, the chat was running wild today.
Keep it running, baby.
That.
Keep it running.
Keep it running.
I love that.
Talk to us.
Don't forget to, like I said, like, subscribe, follow us at Unnamed Sports S on our social media. We're on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and you can find us after this show on YouTube or wherever you find your podcast. Thanks again, everyone, for joining. Have a great night.
Peace.
Ciao.